my name is Willa Crolius, and I live in Biddeford, Maine, and I'm a senior customer experience designer for a company called Signify, but I design lighting. I was first given the label as a person with a disability in 3rd grade, because that was when I was diagnosed with dyslexia. But I think it took me a very long time to kind of come around to actually seeing that as a piece of kind of who I am and my identity, almost as much as like being gay is a piece of who I am and my identity. That actually didn't start to kind of come into play until I was working at the Institute. Because being here is the first time that I sort of was exposed to so much variety and human diversity, even just within the design teams here, that I started to see that actually my brain being different can give a competitive edge to a creative team. And so sort of when I started to see that, because I had already taken on this identity as a designer as well, and then I started seeing that like, oh, being a dyslexic designer is actually an incredible tool. I come from a long line of dyslexics. Which also means I came from a long line of creatives, a lot of artists and designers and photographers and musicians. And I am very fortunate to have the family that I do, because if it wasn't for them, I would not have achieved what I did. Well, and here's the reality. Like, the reality is I'm a woman and I'm queer, but I'm white and I come from privilege. And my family, the reasons that they were able to step up and sort of like support me in the way that they did is because of like white privilege. Mm-hmm. And so I don't really think that that's a particularly special or interesting story. I think that frankly, the fact that our systems still are often set up that you need to have that in order to achieve is fundamentally horrible and a problem. And it's why we're here, why the Institute is here, why the ADA is here, why we keep doing this work. Because if you're just going to keep repeating this model of needing to have a family who has the money or influence or time to even identify that their child is struggling, that's a faulty model, and we're going to continue to miss people. 100%. The biggest barrier is attitude, and I run into this every day, even just professionally on almost every project. Occasionally I've had to, actually it's been more than occasional, I've had to have deeper conversations with the immediate designers or coworkers that I work with. Because I'm sure we all have met these people, but there are certain people who are very proud of proper grammar and sort of these things. I'll never forget, because it's like for a very long time, I just would get very quiet when I would encounter this, particularly in a workplace. And it wasn't until actually later on, after graduate school, and I got a little bit more feeling solid in my design work, and what I can bring to a table, whether I'm spelling it right or not, I would then actually engage and get into the conversation with these people about why, particularly in moments of creative exploration or burst, why are we insisting on following, frankly, rules that were developed and one could argue keep perpetuating white supremacy? Because if you don't talk correctly, if you don't write exactly correctly, if you don't, follow these rules that if you're privileged enough, you come from enough money and the right background, you get exposed to, which puts you in the right circles and and then you're worth being listened to. I don't agree with that at all, at a baseline premise. And so if you can understand the idea and the concept and it's good, why does it matter if it's in proper grammar? My mind chemically does not work the way a lot of neurotypically minded folks are. And it literally, I've seen it literally give an edge when you're under the gun, you're at a table and you have to come up with something brilliant. And even particularly if you're working out in big tech areas, it has to be something that no one's ever thought of before. Like if you're going to come up with an idea that literally no one has ever thought of before, a truly disruptive thing, you need to have people in the room that just literally they do not walk through the same world as you do. You really need to bring in very different ways of thinking, of problem solving, of understanding issues in order to get somewhere that's even close to a truly different idea. When I was young and like just trying to get into the design world, or even before I knew I was going to get in the design world, I just wanted to get in the professional world in some capacity. I was very quiet about my dyslexia. Like I didn't want to disclose it immediately and all this stuff. It's totally changed. Now, if a client approached me or a project approaches me, usually one of the first things that they will learn about me is like, oh, I'm dyslexic. If you can, as the person with the disability, if you can get to the place where you can see this as such a beautiful piece of who you are and what makes you strong and different, when you share that, people pick up on it and they're looking for that. Because the thing about, variations in human ability is that it is so ordinary